Gordon Warner. Gordon Warner, 1913 March 4, 2010, was an American one-legged swordsman who became the highest-ranked Westerner in the Japanese martial art of kendo. He was also a world record-holding breaststroke swimmer, a decorated World War II Marine officer, an academic in educational administration, and an author of books on kendo, the culture of Japan, and the history of the Ryukyu Islands. Early life and war service. Warner grew up among Nisei in Long Beach, California, and began watching samurai cinema and studying Japanese martial arts as a teenager. Tall and athletic, he became captain of the University of Southern California swim team and lived in a Japanese dorm. On graduating in 1936 with a bachelor's degree in social science, he joined the United States Marine Corps Reserve as a second lieutenant. At the urging of two senior officers, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Biddle and Captain Chesty Puller, he traveled to Tokyo in 1937 to continue his studies in Japanese martial arts. He became a student of Moriji Machida and Masuda Shinsuke, and reached the rank of Shodan in kendo 2 years later, also beginning to learn Iaido, but had to leave Japan in haste after the Kenpeitai learned from his correspondence that he was a Marine officer. From 1939 to 1941, Warner was a teacher and swimming coach in Hawaii at the Punahou Academy in Honolulu and then at Maui High School. In an exhibition event of the Palama Invitational Swim Meet in Honolulu in 1939, he set the world record for the 220-yard breaststroke, previously held by Leonard Spence, with a time of 2:51.5. In 1941, he was called to United States Marine Corps service as a combat instructor at the Marine Corps Base Quantico in Virginia. He was later deployed to the South Pacific, where his fluency in the Japanese language allowed him to understand spoken orders from the Japanese and to confuse Japanese soldiers with false orders of his own. He became the first to raise the American flag on Bougainville Island in the landings at Cape Torokina in November 1943. Less than a week later, he lost his left leg when a tank he was commanding was attacked after taking out 6 machine gun nests. He was awarded the Navy Cross for his heroism in this battle and the Purple Heart for being injured while serving. Later life and professional career. Warner retired from the Marines as a lieutenant colonel. He returned to civilian life and to the University of Southern California, where he earned master's degrees in 1944 and again in 1950. His 1950 thesis for a Master of Arts in History was Artificial Limb Development, a history of the Northrop Artificial Limb Research Department 96, Project 17, founded on prosthesis development. From 1950 to 1954, he studied education at the University of California, Berkeley, completing a doctorate in 1954 with the dissertation History of the Continuation Education Program in California. At this time, he also took up kendo again, despite his missing leg. With Benjamin Hazard, he helped found 2 of the first post-war kendo groups in the U.S. in Berkeley in the spring of 1953 and again in Oakland, California in the fall of the same year. After completing his doctorate, he became an assistant professor at California State University, Long Beach. He traveled to Japan in 1956 to attend an international kendo match between American and Japanese kendo masters, hosted a return match in Long Beach in 1957, and continued visiting Japan repeatedly in subsequent years. He remained at Long Beach State until 1964 as coach of swimming and water polo and as chair of the Department of Educational Administration. In 1964, Warner retired from his faculty position to become the director of the Education Department of the United States Civil Administration of the Ryukyu Islands on Okinawa Island. In the early 1970s, he was the historian and curator of the U.S. Armed Forces Museum on Okinawa, which closed in 1976. He continued practicing kendo, eventually reaching the 7th dan. He also reached the 6th dan in Iaido. In 2001, the Emperor of Japan awarded him the Order of the Sacred Treasure, Third class, gold raise with neck ribbon for his accomplishments in the martial arts. Warner died on Okinawa on March 4, 2010, and was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. He was married and had two children, a son Ion Musashi Warner and a daughter Irene Tomo Cooper. Books. Warner's books include This is Kendo, The Art of Japanese Fencing with Junzo Sasumori, 1964, Japanese Festivals with Hideo Haga, 1968, History of Education in Postwar Okinawa, 1972, Japanese Swordsmanship, Technique and Practice with Don F. Drager, 1982, The Okinawa War, 1985, The Okinawan Reversion Story, War, Peace, Occupation, Reversion 1945–1972, 1995, Dining in Chopstick Societies 2007, References